The following message is brought to you by Balsamiq. Balsamiq have decided to support the SaaS district community by donating their sponsored airtime to some of our listeners. This episode is sponsored by MicroAcquire, a free startup acquisition marketplace. MicroAcquire helps startups get acquired. Simple as that. When you list your startup on MicroAcquire, you get free and instant access to over 10,000 trusted buyers with total anonymity. Say goodbye to brokers and meet your ideal buyer today. If you're a startup founder with less than $500K in ARR and are looking to sell your business, visit microacquire.com today and list your business for free. If you'd like to receive a promo code for Balsamiq, or even just thank the folks at Balsamiq for supporting our community, please check out our show notes where we include a link to that promo code specifically for the SaaS district community. Thank you all. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Akil Jabbar, and welcome back to another episode of SaaS District. In today's episode, we'll be talking about how to use interactive content for improving conversions, how to scale an international content marketing team, and applying growth through acquisition. Today, we have our guest, Diego Gomes, joining us. Diego is an entrepreneur, angel investor, SaaS expert, and the CEO of RockContent. After studying advertising, he met Victor, his co-founder, where they were both avid blog readers, which led them to start a blog about trends, technology, and the internet. Not long after that, Diego created EverWrite, which was an SEO platform that was then reverse engineered by Google that gives brands intelligence when creating content. To demonstrate that the SEO hypothesis worked, they created a blog, and Diego spent his days producing content on the most diverse topics. Diego also wanted to undertake and build an impactful company in Brazil. With Diego's experience and network, that gave rise to RockContent today, one of the largest content marketing companies in Latin America. Today, him and his two co-founders lead RockContent, which is a team of more than 300 professional rockers. They produce content for 20 global companies in different languages, and their revenues continue to grow at an extremely fast pace. They've hit over $25 million in annual revenue, and they have big plans for their next step, which we'll cover today. So welcome, Diego. Glad to have you on our show today.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a big fan of the SaaS podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I just want to get in and kind of understand your story and how you decided to build RockContent. I believe you launched RockContent in 2013 in Brazil, where you focused on the content marketing space, and then you expanded to Mexico, and now more recently to the USA. Recently, you were also published on Nathan Latka's magazine as a global category leader. Can you tell us a little bit more about RockContent, its product, and what's the future trajectory?
Sure. Around 7 years ago, me and my co-founders, we were always studying the next big trends in marketing and advertising and in the marketing industry as a whole. And it became very clear to us that the brands had to become publishers and own their audiences to grow. So we started our business by creating a talent network of more than 80,000 creative professionals all over the world. But as you mentioned, we started in Brazil. We were able to achieve fast growth and a leading position in the local market. A few years later, we expanded into Mexico. We have a small team there, but we have some great customers leveraging us to create content in English, Portuguese, and Spanish mostly. And in 2019, we decided it was time to enter the US market, and we entered through an acquisition of a company called Scribble Live in the same space. Today, we are around 400 people, split in 4 different countries. We have around 2,000 brands as customers, and luckily we're growing significantly. So we're really excited for the future of the content marketing category.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, from my understanding, many of your core services are very much service driven at this point. Providing content marketing services where you guys really began and continue to grow for your clients. When we speak about SaaS, I want to understand how much software have you built into your process, and where do you include that automation for your clients? Where can they expect to see the SaaS part?
So we started as a creative marketplace. So we started building a network of talented designers, writers, video makers that could be matched to brands and could help them scale their content creation. As time passed, it became clear to us that there was more and more need for software platforms to help in the content marketing. Our first product was Rock Studio, which is a content marketing platform that lets customers plan, distribute, measure their content marketing results, and collaborate among themselves. Later on, we launched a Stage, which is a digital experience platform based on top of WordPress. So we moved from the content creation suite to the content experience suite. And recently, through an acquisition, we acquired Ion Interactive, which is an interactive content platform. So we have around 50% of our revenues, a little bit more than that, as pure SaaS. Mm-hmm. And the second big revenue line for us is the marketplace, where we brands really need to constantly be publishing higher content volumes. And the marketplace is a very powerful tool for them to be able to create that at scale without having the fixed costs of expanding the team.
Got it. So they come in on your platform, Rock Studio, and they can hire a writer to help them create the content for their marketing plan. Are they being assisted, and are you providing them a service, or are they just logging in, finding the best writer and being able to hire somebody there directly?
The majority of the customers are in this self-service model, SaaS plus the marketplace. Mm-hmm. We also have the standalone marketplace where you can just go and buy content like an infographic or a few videos. It's visual.ly. Mm-hmm. And we have a services team that works with around 10% of our customers very closely to provide strategic guidance and help them evolve their strategies.
Got it. And what is your process, if you can share a little bit, this is your secret sauce, but helps you continue to scale, right? You have different languages. You have Spanish, Portuguese, English now. You have, you said, I think 4,000 different clients and, hundreds of thousands of writers. How do you manage all that and, still continue to scale and make sure the quality is still there?
So it's a very interesting machine. It all starts with talent portfolios. So they come to our website, they create their portfolio of articles, of videos, infographics. Then there is, if they want to deliver services in our marketplace, they want to go through a certification process. So they have to take a course, do a few tests. And once they start working on our platform, there is a reputation and matching algorithm, mm-hmm. Which I would say it's not super similar, but has a lot of similarities with Uber, Upwork, other marketplaces, where I can clearly know that Akil really masters M&A, private equity, mm-hmm. and he has a reputation of 5 stars, and he delivers on time. And that's the secret of ensuring that we have always the best matching and the best talent for the customer.
Makes sense. And then, kind of talking about, you talked about that recent other acquisition you did about, interactive content. We've heard about that term, interactive content, for a while, which allows, I think, users to participate or engage with the content that they create. Why would you say that's a better content marketing strategy for SaaS founders to include in their marketing plan? Should they look at using that?
Yes, I think recently I even wrote a post on why interactive content is super relevant for SaaS companies. Mm-hmm. The main reason is static content and ebooks and landing pages with the traditional forms. They are really good and they work a lot for conversions on any SaaS business. But over time, we are seeing a decrease in the conversion rates of these formats, and customers want more engaging experiences. When I say more engaging experiences, I mean, I am considering buying marketing automation software. Right. I want to be able to see what's the ROI that solution would bring to me. what would be my gains and how much it will drive in savings. And interactive is perfect for that because you can collect the data, customize and present an ROI assessment that it's tailored for each individual company. And that data collected is amazing for the SaaS sales rep. Like I know if I'm selling marketing automation and I usually had to ask you how many visits, how many leads, how many salespeople you had in the past. Now all that data comes from an interactive experience, which is a lot richer for both the rep and for the customer. Other examples include that I think are great, data-driven reports. So how do you compare with other companies in your industry, for instance? These kinds of content really makes the customer, he sees value on providing data to you. And its first part, declared data, which is more relevant in times of GDPR. Another segment we see great results for SaaS businesses, companies that have multiple products. Sometimes the customer doesn't even know about all those products, and solution finders are very powerful. So you tell a little bit about yourself and here's how we can help. Product A, B, C. These kinds of interactions are really high value for the customer and for the business. So I'm a big fan.
Cool. We haven't used it yet, but I've heard good things about it. Have to check that out. Specifically on the content marketing side, if SaaS founders are always, wondering how to improve the quality of their content, and then how to generate, new ideas. Do you believe that, what I see a lot of people do is they select several popular articles out there, they review them, they do some research, and then they create an original blog post that basically synthesizes their own thought and main ideas to then create content, for their own articles. Is that the right way to do it?
I think that's one of the best ways, like especially when it comes into content marketing. You want to be a reliable authority, but you also want to be a great curator. So compiling what is great out there, building great lists and knowledge hubs about the topic you're expert in, and even bringing perspectives from external, trying to combine that with your original point of view. That's an approach I really recommend. To build authority, you have to share your own perspectives, the best practices, the concepts. And that's a great way, not only for growing our traffic and leads, but also to grow your network on the digital world. You share content from other people, they will share back. It's a great approach.
Makes sense. And I see, RockContent creates a lot of great content. You guys actually follow your own, your own message and you're creating, great content and ranking for a lot of keywords. What do you think about how you create content? Are you creating super specialized niche content versus general content for, say, larger audience? Like, for example, at Horizon, we can write about, general M&A practices, about, growth strategy or acquisition strategy, which are, which appeals to more people in the grand scheme of things. But then we can also write specific technical articles about, technical price adjustment, due diligence analysis, but maybe less interesting. How do you look at that?
I think every great strategy is a mix of niche and broad content. And you have to really find what's the best mix for you. In our case, we are our biggest customers. Like, we publish hundreds of content pieces every single month. We have more than 6 million visits on our blogs worldwide. So we take an approach that it's a combination of both. We have expert advice and very niche articles, but we also go with more introductory for attracting a top of the funnel audience. So if you look at how we do today, we are expanding beyond content marketing and going to digital marketing, because as you master your niche, you find more opportunities into similar niches, closed niches. And I believe the best way to start is finding what is your special area, like the area you really can bring unique perspectives, and it's okay. It's typically very niche in the beginning. And as you conquer your niche, you start growing sideways and encompassing more. A good strategy for the broad piece and say, okay, I want a very high volume, less qualified traffic to grow my awareness. And that's where you should go with less specific and more broad topics. So it would be great for you to have a what is private equity and what is how to do an M&A transaction end to end. But when starting, I strongly suggest you nail a niche.
Got it. No, that's actually super helpful to realize. And then for B2B SaaS founders or marketers, they're trying to set up their marketing budget. So I know you work with a lot of founders who are doing this for their content marketing. How do you suggest them to deploy that budget as effective as possible and obviously maximizing the long-term ROI? Because we understand it's a long-term play, right?
I see content marketing as a performance investment, and I really treat it in such way. The main difference is it takes a little bit more time to bring results, but the cost per visit, cost per lead, cost per opportunity are significantly low on the long term. So the way I typically look at this is I look at if I am using paid media, what are my key drivers and how that will look like over 1, 2, 3 years window, and try to compare what are the expected results I should have in content marketing. Typically, the results, the chart looks like this, like it's up and to the right in terms of results, and your cost per lead goes in the opposite direction. The more content, over time, it goes significantly down. If you don't do a lot of paid media, it's very important to assess what's your target unit economics, what are the keyword values, the amount of expected traffic. But it's very important that you put this longer term window to evaluate and plan. Content marketing, to be successful, you have to put a strategy and commit to it. I would say at least 1 year to start having really solid results.
Okay.
The metaphor we often use with our customers is when you compare content marketing to paid media, it's typically the difference between owning and renting. When you're buying traffic from Google and Facebook, you're renting visibility and you get immediate results. But the moment you stop paying, it also ceases to generate additional value.
Makes sense.
Content is like building your house on the internet.
Makes sense. And so let's say you commit, okay, I'm going to put this much dollar amount for the next year. I've committed to it. I understand the value of it. You guys, you said you're producing hundreds of articles a month. Are you focusing, if at the beginning, a few high quality pieces of interactive media at a higher cost? Or do you focus on the volume approach of just getting a lot of content out there?
Both. I think you have to distribute, like higher volume approaches work a lot for companies where you don't have to educate too much the customer about your solution. So if it's a simple offer and it's something that everybody understands and the pain is already there, typically top of the funnel and higher volume works better. When you have to educate your audience and it's a more niche approach, like let's say you have a really new innovative category of software, it's AI, human resources software, you're going to have to do a lot of education. And that's where you should put your big rock content, as we like to say, your $1 million case studies. And we have these pieces that are essential on our funnel. In the end, it has to be a combination to drive awareness and drive conversion. Typically, high awareness means low conversion. So one has to lead to the other.
Got it. And then, so, high volume, high frequency, high quality. But, for 1 year now, what is your suggested content schedule, say, for B2B founders? I know some say one per week at the minimum. Some do maybe one a month. And then I hear, what is the length of the content you want to do? Because I know right now, I think it's, 1,000, 1,500. Is it 2,000? I know you guys create super long form articles as well.
Yeah. So I do a lot of small SaaS angel investing. Like I have done a few companies over the past few years, and they always ask me this question. And I always tell them, I'm going to give you the simplest possible path to success, and start small, but on year 2 and beyond, you accelerate and measure. And typically I advise them to do 2 to 3 articles per week, promote those in social media, try to link to other publications and other influencers in your industry. And I strongly advise for at least one high conversion, high depth content piece per quarter, ideally per month, on your category. So if you are selling the software, you have to have the ebook or the interactive experience for how AI can help HR teams to scale with more efficiency. And creating these big conversion pieces is a critical piece. The blog typically is stronger on awareness, and these are the ones that will take people closer to buying.
Got it. So just to kind of recap, you're focusing a lot of your time and effort on top of the funnel content just to drive more awareness, and then you want to create more. So that's more volume, and then you want to create those high quality mid funnel, get people engaged with your product and learn more, and maybe make a decision, right?
Exactly. If I'm selling a SaaS product, I would map the main keywords of my industry for my blog, and I would try to do 2 or 3 a week. I would find the essential pieces of education that typically my sales team had to do before, and try to turn those into content experiences, live, interactive, or even a simple ebook. And I would also strongly advise that we create an ROI calculator to help their prospects to understand the potential value created by our product.
Got it. Makes sense. Kind of switching gears to kind of your other growth strategies you guys deployed. You guys take on the growth through acquisition strategy of Scribble Live in 2019, and you also mentioned another acquisition. Can you share what your thought process and decision process was at the time, and why you thought it was a good fit, and what has been the result so far since the merger? Sure.
So in our trajectory, we did 2 acquisitions. One, it was a product add-on to cross-sell and increase our revenue retention. It's been super successful. The second one, Scribble Live, which was the latest one, it's a geographic player for Latin America, working with very big brands, but only providing content and solutions for them for Portuguese and Spanish-speaking markets. Scribble was a company in a similar industry, same industry, exactly the same customer profile, and they already had this talent network of tens of thousands of US creative talent. In our case, it would be a make or buy decision. And it was very clear for us that it would take a lot more time if we had to build the talent network from scratch in North America. So that was the main driver, same customer, in expanding our talent network. It's been around 1 year now, and I'm super excited about it. Customers are expanding, revenues are growing, retention as well. Really good results on retention and cross-selling. So it was a very good experience for us. I think for the Scribble Live team, we brought a lot of great talent to the company, several of those in leadership positions. Nice. We're pretty excited about this phase we are in, expanding very fast in North America.
Nice. That's a smart, pretty move, right? So some people, they think it's easy to expand into a new market, and it's not as easy as it sounds. So acquiring kind of acqui-hire, buying an existing team, and then using that to leverage your brand. That's pretty smart. Do you have any future acquisition plans for either 2020 or near future that you guys are looking at or thinking about, or is it on hold for now?
We are big believers in M&A as a way to supplement organic growth. I don't think like it can be the only trick you have in your playbook for growth, but it's a very powerful one when you combine organic and inorganic growth. We have a few industries we always look at. I'm not planning any deals on the short term, but our category is very broad and it's very fragmented. Mm-hmm. So we are always analyzing new innovations in the category, new formats that emerge and might need to bring new skills to our marketplace, and companies that work with similar, the same customer with high cross-sell potential.
Mm. Makes sense. So we've only done one acquisition in Brazil so far, and are currently exploring some deals in Latin America, maybe even Mexico. I'm personally quite bullish on the market and opportunities across Latin America. I think there's a lot of opportunities to be made, but also with its own issues. Like, for example, that deal did have its issues with going to a different country. But what's your thoughts on the market? Where do you see the entrepreneur scene headed, and what's the growth trajectory in Latin America in the next 5 years?
It's a huge market, and there are some really big companies that need several products that are not the big enterprise US companies are not always open to serving these customers very well with the local language, etc. Mm-hmm. So in the last few years, we've seen a lot of growth in the SaaS industry and in the startup community. I'm very happy to see companies such as Lynx right now being acquired by Stone, which is a Brazilian fintech that listed in NASDAQ recently. Cool. We got several subscription companies listing such as Vasta. We had in NASDAQ Arco Educação. We have TOTUS, which is the biggest Brazilian ERP provider. But these are, I would say, slightly older companies. Mm-hmm. The new generation is really exciting. Like, we're seeing fast growth companies born in Brazil or Mexico or Argentina that are taking the global market as their target market from day zero. If I could bring a few examples that I admire, I really admire VTEX, which is they started out of Brazil, but they now have lots of customers all over the world. They are an e-commerce platform.
Okay.
Pipefy, it's a business process management SaaS solution. They started, they're growing everywhere, not only in LATAM, but very strong growth in the US as well. This week, I've seen great news about an Argentinian startup called Murally. They create online collaboration, creative collaboration platform, and they just raised a $120 million Series B. Wow. And the market is the world, although these companies always see their domestic markets as a very fast and accelerated path to growth. The latest one I would mention that comes to mind is Gympass. Mm-hmm. They started in Brazil, expanded to Europe, now growing very strong in the US as well. Yeah. So the local startups, they are starting to go beyond the domestic market, which is huge, but also taking advantage of this local market for initial growth and initial traction without having to be very capital intensive.
Right. Yeah, I was in Sao Paulo, I think, last year for a marketing conference, and I was actually very impressed with the amount of talent, the amount of startups that are doing really good things, and they're growing super quickly. So, I'm quite bullish about the opportunities. I see there's a lot going on there. What differences have you seen? Growing, starting and growing in Brazil, and then moving to Mexico, and then moving to the US. What have you seen in terms of difference between the quality of the teams that you've worked with, the clients you work with? Any differences that you see that we should pay attention to?
I would say that the typical buyer in Latin America is less mature than in US because they weren't they didn't have a lot of, especially in technology, more often than not, they weren't exposed to a category for how technology can help their businesses. Mm-hmm. So this creates a very interesting dynamic. Like, when you present something to them, they are very eager to buy, and deals tend not to be competitive, but you have to do a big push in customer education. In terms of talent, we really had great engineering resources all over Latin America, which is, I think it's a pretty big competitive advantage. The local costs are significantly lower than the Valley costs or New York costs. They also tend to be a lot more capital efficient, because in our case, when you look at our category in North America, all the players raised a very big venture rounds, and because the market was competitive and there were a lot of players there. Because we didn't have a lot of competition in the Brazilian market or Mexican market early on, we were able to scale profitably and learn to how to master this acquisition engine that surprisingly is working pretty well in the US as well. Like the playbook of education, creating a lot of content, it works anywhere in the world. But most of the companies that grow and do hyper growth and big raises, they tend to do more shorter term marketing and customer acquisition tactics, which do not build a lasting value for their brands.
Here in Latin America, you'd say? Or in the US?
No, in the US, I would say. Every new category, you have 5 very heavily funded players. And most of the time, they tend to invest in shorter term marketing tactics, like paid media, etc., instead of building a real brand following and audience. Obviously, there are amazing exceptions and fantastic trajectories, but not everyone builds the long-lasting benefits of owning an audience, a community, having a lot of traffic and leads at the same time as they build their sales and paid media machines.
Makes sense. And it's probably because they're raising a lot more capital and a lot more pressure from the investors to deliver results, right, in a shorter time frame. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Startups in LATAM are more frugal. Like they tend to be very often bootstrapped or raise very little capital.
Yeah, I respect that. Just being able to be a little bit more resourceful, right? And I think that it forces you to, with those constraints, to be more make better decisions, right?
And I wouldn't say that like one way or the other. Like I really think sometimes the Latin American entrepreneurs, they miss this hyper scale skills and abilities. And when you're great at that and you have that ability to deploy capital at a very fast pace, it's also a very relevant competitive differentiation. So there's no right or wrong here, but each of the models has its own strengths and weaknesses.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people love the idea of if I just raise 100 million, I can build a unicorn, but it's not as easy. It's a big responsibility to properly manage it, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So you guys expanded all over Latin America, now in 6 countries, including you have a team here in Guadalajara, where I am now. I think you have a couple of team members at the WeWork. You employ over 400 team members. What's the vision? What's the end goal? And where do you want to take RockContent next?
So we are very evangelistic about what we do. Like we really believe that content marketing and content experiences will be a huge category. Our vision is to lead this category, and because we were able to pave the way on the category and educate the market and do a lot of thought leadership, we believe listing this company someday is going to be a consequence of that. Like it's not a goal, but it's the big dream, and it's if we do a great job, that's kind of unavoidable. And we push ourselves hard every day to keep executing toward this vision that every single brand has to become a publisher. They have to have their audience. And if we're right, we're going to hit it big.
Love it. Yeah, that's an ambitious goal, but I think you guys are on the right track. Do you have any favorite, last questions, do you have any favorite resources or thought leaders that you follow that you can suggest your audience to check out, maybe that helped you think better about your business and help you grow over the last few years?
Sure. I'm a nerd when it comes to SaaS, so I like to listen to all podcasts and connect with several mentors, and there's a long list of guys that I admire. I'm going to pick one that really helped us understand our business better, which is Chris Jones. He has a blog called The Angel VC. He was the seed or angel investor at Zendesk, and he coined the concept of the SaaS-enabled marketplace. And that's what we are. Like, we have SaaS products in a talent marketplace that both are very scalable models. Yeah. And he gave a name to the business model we were working on, I would say in the middle of the journey. So I'm really thankful for him sharing publicly his writings. Other guys I love, Mark Organ from Influitive and Eloqua. He became a friend, and we speak often, big advisor and coach. I'm a big fan of the whole HubSpot crew, like Dharmesh, Brian, Mark Roberge. There's a long list. Tungas. I'm a SaaS nerd, and I try to follow and connect with all these guys when I can.
That's awesome. Well, all great guys in the industry. We'll definitely put them in our show notes for people to check them out. This has been great, Diego. I really appreciate you coming on today. Last question, where can our audience get in touch with you and learn more about what you're doing at RockContent?
So my personal Twitter handle is @TTTG. It's my initials. At RockContent for the company. If you're curious to learning more about our creative marketplace, go to visual.ly, and about RockContent, it's rockcontent.com. Really appreciate being on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diego. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for watching this episode and joining SaaS District today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for future episodes where we interview top leaders in the SaaS industry. If you're a SaaS company looking to grow and unlock the true value of your business, get in touch with us at Horizon Capital, and myself or one of our consultants will provide a free assessment to help you get there and hit your goals. If you have any feedback or suggestions for this podcast, please comment down below and help us improve our content for you all. Thanks again, and see you on the next one.